Thank you. And thank you, Madam Chair, for convening this hearing. St. Louis and I are very troubled to hear about yet more military waste from the IG audit. TransDigm sells a linear actuating cap, which is used in both the Eagle F-15 and Stratolifter C-135 airplanes. According to the IG report, TransDigm sold this part to DoD for $7,495 per spare part, despite it only costing TransDigm $189 to make the part. The price has increased by 400% in just the last 3 decades and doubled in just a 3-year period. Mr. Tenaglia, why would DoD pay double what it paid for the same spare part just 3 years prior?
Thank you, Congresswoman. Part of our analysis is looking at what we've previously paid. Ideally, we're looking at what other competitive consumers are paying in the marketplace for this particular item. And I don't know if the exact same item is sold in the commercial marketplace. I suspect it is not. And then the reality becomes whether this is a flight safety item, the leverage that we have. We need the part as a sole source supplier. If there's no other source to buy that part, we're going to need to make the purchase to keep our aircraft flying.
Yes, and so $189 to make, but $7,400 is what is being paid for this. The IG audit determined that TransDigm's excess profit for this part was over 3,800%. Just to be clear, that is not the profit TransDigm earned. Mr. Stein, how can TransDigm justify, though? How can you justify charging $7,000 for a part that just costs $189?
I'm glad you asked that question. It's a great question. There's a commercial equivalent for that part. The commercial equivalent costs $8,182. We gave the DoD a 10% discount on that part. And over 5 years, the DoD ordered less than 40 pieces. Over 5 years, 40 parts. It's so small and irregular. And we gave a discount of 10% to commercial. It's simple to explain. I don't understand why we're here even. We're giving a discount to commercial prices.
You're giving a discount on something that costs $189 to make. Mr. Stein, will you commit to paying back the excess profit TransDigm received in this example, as well as the other 105 parts identified by the IG as returning excess profit? Yes or no?
It's not a yes or no answer.
Yes or no? Because what we're talking about here is something that's $189 to make, not necessarily what somebody else is charging for it. It's $189
we
to
look
make.
forward to working with the DoD.
Reclaiming my time. Okay. It's essential that TransDigm pay back the $20.8 million it made in excess profits as a result of this price gouging. As lawmakers, we will also work to ensure that this abuse ends. Recouping those excess profits is the difference between having housing or not, mapping environmental racism or not, having clean drinking water or not. $20.8 million could fund housing for tens of thousands of our veterans, many of whom are far too often living on the street. And I know because I'm out there working with them. It could map environmental racism in hundreds of communities like St. Louis that are suffering from polluted air and climate change. It could provide millions of gallons of clean drinking water for children and families, especially Black and brown families all across this country. Instead, more than 50% of the exorbitant $778 billion defense budget is given to military contractors. Ms. Hull, would you say that the linear actuating cap represents an isolated case of DoD waste and mismanagement of money?
The part that you mentioned was the highest excess profit percentage that we found during the audit, but the profit percentages ranged anywhere from 2.8% to 3,850.6%.
Despite receiving hundreds of billions of dollars every year, the DoD has never detailed its assets or undergone a complete clean audit, likely leading to the kinds of abuse and waste we're discussing in today's hearing. I'm encouraged by the steps this committee is taking to address this pressing issue. Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentlelady yields. The gentleman from Texas, Mr. Fallon, you're now recognized.